Okay, and we're live. And Josh, I want you to just repeat. Where are you again?
Yeah, so I'm in Saranda, Albania, in this little Italian restaurant, probably opened up about 6 months ago. And we're here for indefinitely, maybe 10 months, 8 months, 8 to 10 months.
Oh,
So,
I didn't even know that. Wow. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Thanks for the introduction. That looks like a cool
yeah,
place. There's like cool lighting or something going on in the Italian thing.
yeah, it's
So
neat. Yeah,
I love the fact. I'll get into my intro in a second here in a minute, but I
okay.
just love the fact that you're in Albania. It is just it's not such a common. Well, it's becoming more common. It's becoming more popular. But I love the fact that you're in this sort of exotic place. And what we're going to talk about today is so exciting and adventurous and exotic, and you're just living it. So, hello, everybody. I'm Bradley Charbonneau. This is the Repossible podcast and YouTube channel. And this is the Now What series. We're digging into the boring way to talk about it is decision making, right?
Hmm.
The like exciting, sexy way to talk about it is like adventure and he's coming to you live from Albania, right? Wherever that is, right? And then so I want to get into I'd like you to give us a little background on your story, where you are, why you're there, how'd you get there, and then we'll dig into in more detail. But Josh Leitz, it's great to have you, great to see you. Thanks for coming on, and give us a little background about how in the world you got to what's the name of the town again?
Yeah,
Albania?
Saranda. Yeah, Saranda.
Saranda.
Saranda. Yeah,
Okay. I think you're on the coast, right?
we are
On
on
the
the
coast.
coast. Yeah, it's a little tourist town just across the boot of Italy. You typically
Okay.
fly into Corfu, and then you take the ferry over to Albania. Yeah,
Okay. And you are not just on holiday, you're not for the weekend,
that's right.
you're with your four kids and your wife. And I know, hello, it's October. It's October. There, school, hello. All right.
That's right,
Josh
just
is going to
regular
fill us
life.
in
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
what is going
Hey,
on.
thanks,
School of
Bradley.
life.
Yeah. Oh man. No, I am super grateful and fortunate that this even happened. So we're probably 2 years in on this whole adventure. I mean, we went back one time to the States, but we're gonna be gone another year or so. So really this is like a 3 to 4 year adventure. It all
Oh,
started
wow.
with my wife wanting to give the kids more a worldview of just different countries. And
Okay.
she is more, when you talk about decision making, you're talking about gut or feeling or what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's my wife. And
Okay. Okay.
I just go with the flow. And so I just think about how do we make that happen? And so
Yeah.
more of the problem solving financial side of things. Okay, I don't think that's possible. So like let's
Yeah.
figure that out. So that's where it started. Um,
So
and then we
she
started
wanted to
connecting
give
dots.
the kids
Yeah,
a broader like education of the world, or you just said school of life,
yeah,
broader education. So you guys are from the United States. You're from Arizona. So they were just in normal school, regular school, I
that's right.
guess,
Yeah,
for
we
the
were in a
summer.
bilingual school. We lots of
Oh,
activities, dance and taekwondo, and
okay.
life was good.
Okay.
But it's also, I mean, even just regular life is expensive, and so it's
Yeah.
just trying to you're making your own boundaries. You're trying to stay off devices. You're trying to make those friends with families that are in line with how we see either the world or growing up and just interacting. Just what does regular life look like? Whether it's the birthday parties and all the stuff on the weekends, right? It's busy.
Yeah.
It's busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We both don't like busy, and it's really hard to make those boundaries. And so you couple that with how do we make this worldview, bring it to our kids. We know that as they get older with high school or beyond, either it gets more expensive or you're just not going to have the opportunity to travel with them. And so even when
Yeah.
I think of when I was young, I was actually fortunate. My grandparents took my brother and I. We traveled to Europe a few times in middle school and high school, whereas my
Oh,
wife
wow.
didn't have that experience at all. So
Okay.
I didn't have the fear or the like what's over there. Like I've been to many countries before, so I'm like, let's do it. And so even though my wife was trying to push it, at the same time she was still hesitant, like more fear
Okay.
based
Yeah.
in is it possible? So So really the first step, my wife and I did a trip, just us to Spain without the kids.
Yeah.
And we just drove to different cities and it's just, it's nothing unique. I mean, it's neat, right?
Okay.
It's different
Yeah. Yeah.
countries and things like that, but it's not outer space.
And
Um,
how long was that trip? Outer space.
yeah, 7 or 10 days. You know,
Oh,
people are
okay.
like,
Like
so yeah,
a holiday,
a holiday.
a
Yeah,
vacation. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So everything up until now, a lot of people have. Oh, busy life, expensive, especially in the US.
right,
I don't live in
right,
the US anymore either.
right,
Life is hectic and soccer practice and all the stuff,
right,
right? And so, and your wife has a, dream or an idea of, oh, more, worldly vision for the kids, and not to mention for you guys, the parents. And then, so usually, in my humble opinion, usually that's where it stops. It like stays, oh, what a nice dream. Yay.
right,
Now, pass the remote and let's watch a different show on Netflix, right? So, in other words, no action is taken.
right.
Yeah. And so, what then? Okay, well, you took some action, you went to Spain,
Yeah,
but a lot of people go on a 10-day
sure.
holiday
Yeah,
and we're gonna shop for our future life in Spain. Yay. Yeah, a
yeah.
lot of people can do that. That's pretty easy. Still pretty easy. So then what was the next step? What brought you over that next step from holiday in Spain
Yep.
to what was the next step? What was the next practical step after that?
So, yeah, the next practical step. So when I think of, I feel like there's three things: the job, the house, the cars.
Okay.
So what do you do? So even we had a loan on one of the cars.
Hmm.
Um, and so, hey, I was fortunate enough to be with the company for a long time and had permission to, if we wanted to move overseas, that was okay. So that I was fortunate. So I still have my
Okay.
US based job and I still work every
Yeah.
day. That's
That's a
a
biggie. That's a
huge,
biggie.
yeah, that's a real big part.
Okay.
The house, we're fortunate to happen to have a house that's in an area in Phoenix that is Airbnbable. I mean, people want to
Okay.
book the house. So that's, number two.
So you do
Yeah.
you do short-term Airbnb like weekends or a week, or is it a
Yeah,
longer term
yeah.
thing?
It just depends. I mean, oftentimes, somebody might book a month, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
we decided to do the Airbnb route. We also, I mean, I gotta say, we have a guest house with the house, so I was managing the guest house myself before we even made this move. And so then looked
Oh,
for a property manager, and I said, "Hey, why don't you manage the guest house, and I can just kind of learn about this relationship before if we make this move." Because
uh-huh.
we were looking at, okay, what if we just did a long-term rental, right, and just didn't
Right,
worry
right.
about what's nice with the Airbnb model is that number one, we know it's clean. We don't have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
wonder, from the long-term rental if it's clean or not. And then number two, we have the ability if we need to come back, we have a house, and there's not
yeah.
a big transition there. So we experimented with a property manager on the guest house while we were still in Phoenix, Arizona, and
Okay,
I was able to build that relationship even though right I had to bite my lip on paying the commission, even though I could do it myself, but I knew
right,
that there was a
right.
plan coming. That was my test.
So like
Yeah.
practice, even though you're there, you could
Yeah.
manage it yourself. You're kind of practicing
That's
to
right.
be further away. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, and how long was that period? Was that like a month or a year or 10 years or
You know,
roughly?
yeah, from the time that we talked about it to the time we actually moved, it I think it was in 6 months. So we
Wow.
probably yeah, so we probably 2 to 4 months is when we just bought the tickets. So from talking about it to
Ah,
testing it to I move pretty quick, okay, Bradley.
yeah.
When that's a right, that's a positive and negative. When something happens, I can start solving a problem and I just make decisions. And that's never been a problem for me ever on making decisions, but it's getting either the right people on board, right? So it's the family, my wife, and
Yeah,
if
yeah,
that is in line, I have no problem pulling a trigger if the
yeah.
practical stuff gets worked out.
Okay, so people speaking of being like on the same page or
Yeah, yeah,
um How old are your kids? You have four kids. How old were they
Yeah,
when you first started?
yeah. So when we first started, geez, our youngest must have been 3. So she's 5 now. She actually turned 6 on Monday. So I
Happy
think it
birthday.
was like 3, 5, 6, and 8. And so right now we're at 5, um, 5, 7, 9, and 10, 11 almost. Yeah, yeah.
So I guess there's pros and cons. Like when I moved to Europe, my boys were 10 and 12.
Okay.
And and I think that was a little late. It was brutal. It was tough, especially for the
Mm,
12-year-old, because
mm,
he had like his roots ingrained in, California, and
right,
he really like ripped the roots out of the ground,
right.
right? And
Totally.
that did not
Yeah.
that did not go well. So although I have to say I don't regret it, it was tough, but for all the reasons that you're experiencing, because that's one reason I think we get along so well, is that we have this worldview of living in more than one place, or living in different places, or we don't always have to live in the same place our whole lives, and
Right.
exploring. And you guys are doing more than exploring. I mean, most people do the 10-day trip to Spain, but
Yeah.
you are fully, wow. Okay, so you had kids on board, wife on
Yeah. Yeah.
board,
Yeah. Yeah.
house is
Th-
getting, how you can figure out the house rental stuff, car,
yeah.
you'll deal with that. Your job, I mean, these are big things. Like the job is flexible. That's a huge one, of course.
Huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So we went through a couple phases of what it would look like. Like, so our second time out after a year and a half or two, like we're now here, we're using Albania as our base. Whereas the first time we
Okay,
left, we literally booked. So when we left July 2023, we had a place in Valencia, Spain for 6 weeks. That's what we
uh,
booked. That was our plan.
okay,
And during the time leading up to it, a lot of things that needed to get organized, right? We just booked and it's set. So you have to, we're not canceling. And there were times where that should we not go, from different
wow,
pressures,
wow,
family or this or that, just unknowns. And I just was head down, we are going. And I
yeah,
remember it wasn't
wow,
until we were meeting some friends in California and then in DC, we stayed with them because we were going to say goodbye and stuff like that because we didn't know how long we were going to be gone for. It
yeah,
was a one-way ticket that we bought. And I remember my friend
wow,
dropped me off in Dulles Airport, DC, to head to Valencia, Spain.
yeah.
And after he left, we got the luggage and now we're in line at the to check our luggage. And it was at
Yeah.
that moment my heart started beating because I was I was pushing forward for so long, whereas my wife and other people are feeling all these feelings, and I didn't take the time or even think about that. In my
Yeah.
mind, we got to get to the airport,
Yeah.
months
Yeah.
ahead. So my heart started beating, and I just thought, what am I doing?
Wow.
And um, it was unknown, right? I mean, this is the
Yeah.
first time is the hardest. It was so, man, yeah, the unknown is hard. And
But
yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
go
So
ahead.
what time of year was that? Was that because you got
July
four kids?
2023, this is summer. So
Okay, so summer. So you have like
yeah,
I'm just thinking school and school
yeah,
holidays
no,
and
we
stuff.
had, yeah,
So
summer
so
school was
summer,
out. We had summer.
school's out, but
Yeah,
then school's going to start in whatever, August or September.
yeah,
And so
right.
had you already planned, we're going to be gone and
Oh
do the
yeah,
school over there?
the plan was homeschool.
Okay.
My wife was going
Okay.
to homeschool. We didn't homeschool before. My wife does have an education background and teaching background and things like that. So it wasn't,
Okay.
outside of her skill set, even though
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
didn't homeschool before. And it's more responsibility than maybe she would want it. She likes doing other things that's music based. But when we look at, okay, how do we make this reality? Maybe it's time to sacrifice and let's do this. So
Yeah.
yeah, so the mindset was homeschool for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A little teaser here. I had talked with you and your wife a bit about your story, and when I wanted to interview you for this, I thought about it and I thought I want to interview separately. So there's a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
teaser that we're going to have your wife. I'm going to have your wife
Yeah,
on the show, and we're going to hear
fun.
her angle. and
I know, I
and then we'll
know.
have people say, "You think that's the same story?"
No, no.
Who,
She's gonna
who are
discount
those
everything.
people?
No, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, totally different perspectives, you know. I mean, and
Wow.
so like my energy and thought, I mean, I work every day, and so my mind is on my job, on work, expanding the company, and it's hard. But what's and so my wife's mind, of course, is on the kids
Yeah.
and ensuring from an emotional standpoint and activities and just relationships and all of those things. I'm not going to pretend that I'm also involved in all of that. It's just what's nice is it's hard. There's always good and bad, and so
Right.
I try to keep the U.S. hours still. And so
Okay. Okay.
as we're gone, I typically work the 2 or 3 p.m. to throughout the night. And so sure,
Okay.
I miss the night.
Yeah.
Whereas regular schedules, I'm part of activities and dinner and bedtime. Right, did all that right as the kids were born and stuff like that from
Yeah.
bath and all that stuff. But what's neat is the time during the day, and it's the fun time, and it does
Okay.
put more. I have to admit, it puts more responsibility on my wife to do the other stuff, and I get the time exploring cities, going to the beach, cafes, culture, museums, all during the day. I'll spend a
Wow.
whole day with the kids, and then I go to work. And you know what?
Wow.
Even with all that
Wow.
time, even with that time, so my youngest, I got three boys, and the youngest is a girl, and my girl will say, um, "Daddy, why don't you quit your job, or can you get fired so you don't have to work?" So even with all the time I
Yeah.
have, it's still not
Yeah.
enough, right? Kids want
Yeah.
more time, and
Yeah.
it's important. It's precious to have that time with your kids. So
But if you think about it, so you say you go to work at like 2 or 3, right? In the
yeah, yeah,
afternoon. So I mean, they're young kids. They probably get up super early, right? They're not lazy
right.
teenage boys like my bums. I mean, my boys.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
5:30. They're up at, yeah,
okay,
we're
right. So you've got a solid chunk of like morning
huge.
and lunch, and
That's right.
I would guess that you have more time with your kids
Oh,
with your current schedule than in a regular, 9 to 3 U.S. school timing schedule,
yeah.
right?
Right. The US schedule, in order for me to be productive and I mean, hey, it's hard to have a family and to have the capacity to be a parent. And so
Right.
I would get up at 4:30 or so. I do my workout, I have my morning, and when I wasn't doing that and trying to wake up with the kids, you just can't survive for the day to
Yeah.
function. And so you have your morning, then you either you rush off to school or whatever when they start getting up, and then they're
Yeah.
gone, and when they come back you're busy with traffic and activities and then dinner, and then you have the bedtime, and the bedtime is a sweet time.
Yeah.
Whereas when that schedule's flipped, there's no rushing. And it's like just
Mm.
this enjoying slow, non-busy day. And so it's like, okay, what are we missing out? And we incorporate different things and stuff like that. But um, man, it's just everything slows down. And
Wow.
that's what we love. And so when we first went out, we switched countries every month or 6 weeks or so. So we did about 20 countries, and we did a couple road trips in between the first time out. And so now we're coming out to we're here in Albania. We're using it as a base, so we'll go out, and
Okay.
we did a road trip to the Black Sea and went through Bulgaria, Romania. We even came back through
Wow.
came back through Kosovo, and never in my life I would have said I would have taken my family to Kosovo. And
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty amazing. Whereas, if you're going to take a holiday, you're not going to choose those countries. And when you see the
Right.
communist apartment building structures and you think about history, it really opens your mind to what that life was like. And so, um,
Wow.
and sure, we talk about it and try to teach the kids and things like that, but
Uh-huh.
how much impact is it right at this moment? I don't know, but 5, 10 years from now, when you look back or when they look back, they'll be able to pull from that, and that's pretty powerful.
Wow. So you're outside of Schengen, right?
We are right now, right? That's right. Now, when
Okay.
we go into
Because
Schengen, right, it counts the days. We can get into the Schengen
okay.
shuffle for sure.
Right. Right. Because I'm sure people who are watching are thinking about like, how do you do that with visas or, you're renting an apartment in Albania. How in the world do you do that?
Hey, if you want,
And
I can get
how?
into the dates if you want, real quick.
Okay, sure, yeah, yeah, yeah. A couple of
Okay.
details would be fun.
So here's a couple details. If you're a U.S. citizen, Albania gives you a year. Okay. Albania gives you a
What?
year. Yeah. Now,
Wow.
there's if you're a tax resident, the typical days in a country is 183. You exceed
Right,
183, you become a tax resident. So a
right,
U.S.
right,
citizen in London only gives you 6 months. That's 180. So you're not even a tax resident at 180. In you mentioned Schengen, so Europe, EU, Schengen gives you 90 days. So you can't even become a tax
right.
resident. So most countries, you
Okay,
can't even become a tax resident in the first place. Albania
okay,
gives you a year. So here's a
okay.
little, this is not a loophole or things like that. It's
Right.
totally, you can research it. So I know this is online and stuff, but
Yeah.
um, Albania's law is a calendar year and you become a tax resident after 183. There is some
Okay.
question like, do they really want you to send the information that you're taxed and stuff like that? Whatever. There's gray area there. But if you straddle the year, so
Yeah.
even though we booked 10 months, it's not 183 within the same calendar tax year. So from a tax
Oh,
perspective, we'll never exceed 183 in either year,
either calendar year.
either calendar year.
I see. Oh, because it's October, and you've been there
Yeah.
since August, September,
Yeah, we came end
whatever.
of August. Yeah, we did
Okay.
France and Belgium and Antwerp.
Okay.
But yeah,
So,
go ahead. So
but 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 tax. Yeah.
go ahead. So there's really two parts. There's the
Okay.
tax
Okay. Go
resident,
ahead.
and then there's a tax home. And that gets
Okay.
really dicey with in the US, there's what's called the FEIE tax form. You can exclude income, and that's another topic. Okay.
Okay. Okay. But
So
but tax resident, because sometimes it would be advantageous to be a tax resident of a certain country. But you're saying for Albania, you don't want to be, or it's not beneficial.
so my income is US based. I'm not allowed to have Albanian clients, right? And so that's one of the
Okay.
things. You have people that when they say they're a digital nomad or things like that,
Right.
oftentimes
Right.
they have their own business and they're even selling online and they could make money from people in the
Like
country that
anywhere.
they're in. Well,
Okay.
even in the
Okay.
country they're in, and that's where it gets sticky. I'm a
Oh,
regular W-2. I'm not like an entrepreneur and you have these,
okay.
digital nomad
Okay.
entrepreneurs. I'm a regular W-2 at a regular company. Nothing's changed.
Okay.
Some companies, right, they change your income because now you're living in a place that's
Okay.
lower,
Cost.
living costs,
Right.
right?
Right.
Fortunate, my company, they're not changing any type of,
Right.
income base. So, um, yeah, so
Wow.
so it's better
Okay.
for
I
me to
see.
not be a tax resident because it's just U.S. based income. I'm adhering to all the laws and things like that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't not having any job or making any money within the
Right.
country from
Right.
yeah from that.
Right. And you're probably on that visa. Tell me if I'm wrong, but you
No,
probably cannot work. You can't go work at the cafe where you are right now.
correct, correct.
Okay.
And,
Right.
and there
Right.
are some tourist visas. People get so caught up in visas and things like that, and you don't need a visa
Uh-huh.
if now again, depending what citizen you are, but if you're a US citizen, you don't need a visa. If you go to the UK or Schengen or Europe or Albania, you don't need a visa if you adhere to those laws and those days.
Okay. Right. Right.
Sometimes in customs they'll ask you, how long do you intend and stuff like that. And so what
Yeah.
I've learned is there was one time, and I'm trying to think what country it was, but we didn't have the second flight booked. And it was really frustrating because they wanted us to have that flight booked. So we booked a
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
flight and then they'd even look at it and they let us go. And so what I'm going to suggest, and it's not lying, it's just you just say your intentions. All they care about is they want to make sure that people aren't staying longer than they say, because that's what gets,
Okay.
that's tricky. If you're really trying to play the system and stay longer,
Right.
I'm not advocating any of that.
Right. Right.
But to
Right.
get past customs and things like that, you just say what you have, what you're doing, and it's a non-issue. It's a non-issue.
Okay.
People get
Yeah.
caught up on that, and then Bradley, people get caught up in school. They're like, "Oh, you take your kids out of school." Well, it doesn't, from kinder to 12th grade, it doesn't matter what your kids do for
Right.
school. When you think about it, it's only the SATs and ACTs if you're going to prep your kids and things like that. Now, when you're in other parts of the world, there's countries that it's illegal to homeschool and you won't see kids on the streets and stuff like that. And so they might look at you kind of funny. Aren't your kids supposed to be in school? But the
Right.
majority of the time, the people just love seeing families walk and the kids and they
Yeah.
pinch their cheeks. We're on the bus in Albania, and these, older women like grab our kids, and they're like freaking out, but they just want to have them sit on their lap and stuff like that.
What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fun. So, anyways,
Wow.
okay, that's enough technical stuff. If
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
another
yeah.
question you have, yeah,
But I think it's just, I think the answer is sort of, it's so cliche, but where there's a will, there's a way. You want
yeah,
it, you're going to figure it out. It's going to figure
yeah,
it out. You want
yeah,
it, because that was like for me with my whole now what idea.
yeah.
And I talk about again the boring topic of decision making. I think like there's this point of no return where at some point, and you said it, you said
We're
we're
going.
going.
So here's what it's hard. It is hard when I look at families that sell everything.
Yeah,
They don't have a job and they just go for it.
yeah,
I can't say I would do that. I'm sorry, that's not me. I
mm,
I have the luxury of my US based job, the 401k, everything is as if we were in the
yeah,
States.
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
that's nice.
yeah.
Um, that's nice. I think when people unplug and they do that other route that I think people think
Right,
that we're doing,
right.
that's even that I don't know if I would be able to get on board with that because when you talk about now what, not that when it comes to purpose and things like that, I love my job. I I've been doing the same thing for 20 years. I put my heart and soul in it. It that's what really moves me. And when I think of purpose and where I'm spending my energy and time, I
Yeah,
get to enjoy this travel and my family and time. And then
yeah,
I have
yeah,
this wonderful wife that's spending all the time, loving and researching and teaching and managing,
yeah,
really the captain of the ship, if you will. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so
You said, you love your job. Like people talk about, speaking of visas and moving to other countries and stuff,
yeah,
there's a
yeah,
lot of people who go retire somewhere else, right?
sure, yeah,
Like especially Americans, they like to go to Portugal and Spain or whatever, and Italy.
yeah,
And
Italy,
like me,
yeah,
like you're gonna have to drag me kicking and screaming into quote unquote retirement, right?
right,
I love what I do. I love work. I love creating. I love books and doing this. I love doing this, right? And because maybe I have a biased view of retirement, but retirement is like, I don't know, you play golf and you have tea, or I don't even know what the hell it is, but it's not what I want. I don't want that.
right. My grandparents did that, and it's hard
Yeah.
to, they grew up maybe they grew up in a different generation and poor, and so my grandparents, he never took a day off of work. He worked
Right.
so
Right.
hard to provide for his family and did an amazing job, and
Yeah.
then unplugged, retired early, and then took his family traveling the world. And
Oh, wow.
he
Yeah.
played golf, and then he did world trips, and so we benefited from that. But
Yeah.
when I look at that life, missing out on the growing up time because of
Yeah.
how he grew up before, and so ensuring there's a financial stability there, and then enjoying the
Yeah.
second part and having the pension and things like that. Um, that was a way of life for that time. But I agree. There's got to be a way to balance it and live both. You got to be able to do both.
Yeah.
If you miss
Yeah.
out on that first part, you're missing out on so much. And I don't want to just wait until I'm older to supposedly,
Right.
try to enjoy. Yeah.
Right. Right. Wow. Wow. Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, go for it. What
Yeah.
else?
No,
Yeah,
no, it's just I feel like we can just talk for hours because
I
it's
know, I
just
know.
there's so much, right? There's so much. But all right, I'm gonna wrap this up because I'm also
Okay.
now I'm even more curious to talk with your wife. That's gonna be great.
I know, I
Because
know.
we're gonna have people like, what? They're in the same family? What? Because I bet you're gonna have different opinions on stuff, like different. I can't wait to talk with her. So, all right, I wanna ask like of the it's like 20 plus countries. Was that just the first round? And now
Year and
there's
a
even
half.
more.
Yeah. I mean, when I
Wow.
say 20 plus, there's like 8 countries that we hit like in a week because we instead of flying or a boat, we did a drive and then we stayed a couple days. So we came
Okay.
from,
Okay.
I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Spain to Montenegro, for example, right? We did it a little bit different, so we hit 8 countries. But
Wow.
we did everything from London and Spain and France and Portugal and Crete and Cyprus and Montenegro and um, I don't know, just those were those countries I just listed. We stayed more than a month, 2 months,
Okay.
and it
Okay.
just was,
Wow.
yeah, it was really neat. And so when you're able to stay that long, you're not necessarily vacationing, right? You're buying
Right.
groceries, you're using public
Right.
transportation, you're investing in that community, you're meeting, seeing the same people. We see the same bakeries that we go to. And what's
Yeah.
so great is that um, these cities that we choose off-season cities. We need
Okay.
walkability. We need markets that are walkable. We have kids and we're cooking, right? So we got to
Yeah.
look at all of those things. And in these cities, it's sustainable to go and buy your bread every day or buy your coffee or
Wow.
$1 or €1 or whatever it
Right.
is, coffee. You're not spending 6 or 8, on a coffee.
Yeah.
So when you go out every day, but you're not dropping 100, uh,
Right.
every single
Right.
day. So
Right. Right.
so the
Wow.
stress of going of the stress is gone when we say, hey, let's go out and go hit the bakery. I'm not thinking about, oh my gosh, this is, what are we going to
A
spend?
huge trip. Right.
Yeah. And
Right.
so we try to find this, we experiment a little bit, then we find what we like, and then we get to know the restaurant owners and they
Yeah.
see the kids, and then we learn a few phrases in the language that we're in. So we have a little
Wow.
bit of Greek and Montenegrin and French that we try to
Yeah.
use, and it's fun, right? It's fun. It's not like,
Wow.
I feel like oftentimes you go on vacation and then there's this you're trying to say something and they're frustrated with you because you're the tourist, and
Yeah.
there's like this rub. You know,
Yeah.
we we're not in a rush. Like, you go on vacation, I got to hit like 8 things today, right? Because we leave tomorrow
Right.
or whatever it is.
Right.
And
Right.
so we'll go someplace and sit down. I don't know, we'll sit for an hour. It doesn't matter. Um,
Wow.
and we play
Wow.
cards and we picked up different games and things like that. And it's just we're enjoying the culture of how people live every day.
Wow.
I have so many great stories, but like here's one that it just came to me. And this
Okay.
was Albania, probably the first time or so. One of my kids' soles were coming off and I
Yeah.
needed to fix the shoe. And so we're
Yeah.
walking Albania, and I actually had the kids that time. I'm trying to think, my wife. It was just me and the kids, and so I find this little shoe place, and he's he can fix the shoe. And we're talking these stores these storefronts when you walk these cities. It's amazing how small some of these storefronts are and what they can fit in there. I mean, you look in there and there's just like so many things, but I mean, we're talking a closet, and that's a business, right? And so the guy has some walnuts like just on the side, and so he had a walnut cracker. He's fixing the shoe. We're sitting on the sidewalk cracking walnuts as we wait for the shoe to be fixed. I mean, we don't get that in Phoenix, okay?
Right.
And so when we were in Wales,
Wow.
I bought a walnut cracker, and that is one of my favorite things, to carry a walnut cracker with me
Wow.
because it symbolizes the time to crack walnuts.
Wow.
So
And to not be stressed and to hang out in
that's
front of
right.
the shoe shop, which is as big as a closet,
That's right.
and take
Yeah,
your time and
that's right.
wow. Wow. Okay.
So,
I was going to ask you for a story. You just gave us one.
oh,
I love it. I love it.
great.
And you know what's fantastic about your story? Because this is typical like tourist versus, longer
Right.
term travel or adventure, right? Like the
Yeah.
tourist was like, well, yeah, I always make fun of the candlelight dinner with the red wine on top of the Champs-Élysées in Paris, and the
Yeah.
sun is going down and there's fireworks and it's all fantastic and it costs $1 zillion. And
Yeah.
you're like, we were cracking walnuts outside of this shoe store while he
Yeah, it was
repaired the
500,
sole.
yeah, 500 lek, which is like $5, $6, to prepare the salt, and we got free walnuts. Okay, I mean, come on. I
That's great.
I don't know. Maybe I gave him like 10, 1,000, lek. I'm like, I
Wow.
just thank you. But yeah.
You
So,
know, there's a big word. Sometimes I get really sort of infatuated almost with certain words. Like, and one word is expectations,
mm,
right? So if your expectation is
hmm
red wine, sunset, beach view,
right.
hotel, blah 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 blah, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment, right?
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're out walking, you got to fix the sole on the shoe. And
Yeah.
if that can be your adventure, if you can get some enjoyment out of that and talk
Amen.
about, and we got free walnuts, right?
Yeah.
Like, then your life is good. Then they talk about like wealth and health is wealth, but
Mm,
also like this for me is you are living an abundant life. You are living a
hmm
wealthy life because if you can smile and laugh and joke about the walnuts at the shoe shop, I mean you got it made, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the secret.
Yeah. It's great. And the time, I'll just also leave it with when you interact with people that in these cities that we're in, right? They're either living next door to their business and you look around and this is what they're doing every day. Like they are
Yeah,
satisfied with it's just you're enjoying just each day. The whole
yeah,
hustle and bustle is not part of that culture. Nothing wrong with it. And who
yeah,
knows, we'll be back and stuff like that. But if there's a time to just disconnect and enjoy, and you can see a different kind of life and think
yeah,
of this is actually just a sustainable way of life and it's okay. And you see these
yeah,
happy people that don't have the hustle and bustle and man, it's great. It's great for the soul. It's great for the
yeah,
kids. And we get
yeah,
we get to be I don't know, something I can go into lots of things on different skills that they're learning, like the time that they have to, they say that boredom is the beginning of creativity. Um, letting your kids be
wow,
bored and from Rubik's Cube to origami to magic stuff to, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, here's another quick story. Well, I'm on the rocks in Cyprus and my oldest has this little, satchel, I think they call it. They buy different
yeah,
different bags and stuff like that. And he pulls out like a needle and thread or whatever. He's like knitting something. I'm like,
wow,
I guess, my wife showed him that, but it's just, you look at that and I don't know, he was 9 at the time, and he's just knitting on the rocks in Cyprus. And you can talk about the skills, right, for your
yeah,
fingers and things like that, for
yeah,
writing and the different things that you talk about, and not get so caught up in like knitting. Like you think of, well, I'm not going to have my kids knit, or I don't know, whatever, right? There's
right,
there's
right, right,
there's always the next competitive thing, and so it was great. So, anyways,
yeah,
yeah,
wow. Yeah, he's just doing what he's doing. He's just
yeah, yeah.
doing a thing. And it's not to get the trophy or to win the prize, or he's just
Yeah.
knitting a thing. He's doing a thing. Wow.
So
All right, Josh. Wow.
Bradley, thanks. Yeah. Thank
This
you for
is
the time. This is fun.
yeah, yeah, but it's just like wow, I could literally talk for hours because it's so cool all of what you're doing. And why don't we just plan on catching up again in some months and we'll see how you're doing down there in Albania and that'd be fun.
Absolutely.
All right.
Anytime.
And I'm going to get your wife on here and we're going to hear the other side of the story. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
funny.
Josh.
Okay,
Good. Thanks so much for your time. And thanks for doing this and thanks for telling us your story.
awesome. You're welcome.
All right.
Thanks, Bradley.
Bye.